Good day, everyone. Hope you're all having an awesome day. So, I wanted to make this video sooner, but I wanted to make sure I got, as much information as I could find in a timely manner. I want to talk about the new, the 2017 Ford GT, and this is a car that has been just hyped up out of its mind, especially what the car can do given how optimistic Ford is about its whole EcoBoost system. Finally, they released the specs on it, and I learned a little bit about the acclimation process, about how to actually get a Ford GT. I used a lot of what they could learn from the Italian manufacturers about getting their special edition cars. Same thing with McLaren. McLaren does this too. So, for you to be considered for a new Ford GT, you have to kind of prove to them that you're going to drive the car, which I think is completely understandable. I mean, they don't want it just sitting in a collections garage pretty much, so that's understandable. I completely get that. Another thing is they want you to have a history of owning Fords. Now, kind of gray about what that actually means. Does that mean you could have a Taurus and it'd be okay? I mean, there's a box that you can kind of fill out what actual Ford you had. So I'd imagine that they would better consider someone that had an old Ford GT versus someone that had a Pinto in like the 70s or something, or if you have a new F-150 versus someone that had like a Boss 302 and a GT 350 or something along those lines. So kind of gray, but you can kind of see where they were looking for. And then there's another factor that they wanted you to have, and that is if you were a public influencer, something along those lines. And pretty much what that means is they brought in the social media aspect of things for who they considered for their new car. And there was, a thing for how many followers you had on like these social media accounts, blah, 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 which is really interesting. I mean, there's been some backlash about that. Some YouTubers have said, like, vehicle versions that, like Minecraft YouTubers can get their hands on a Ford GT, which I do agree is kind of messed up if that's the case. As far as the performance metrics go, it's a very interesting case about the new Ford GT because it is a twin-turbo V6, but it produces a massive, for the size of the engine, 647 horsepower and around 550 pound-feet of torque. Pair that to the fact that the car weighs 3,300 pounds when it's fully loaded and wet. Things get interesting. You're looking at probably a 0 to 60 time of under or around 3 seconds. I think we can all that's a big bump, oh my god. I think we can all kind of agree on that. I think it'd be pretty outlandish to think that it'd be slower than that. But anyway, it also has, and get this, a top speed of 216 miles per hour. The fastest Ford ever built, which doesn't really surprise me. I mean, I've seen people making a big deal. It's a goal as the fastest production Ford ever, but that should be expected. But 216 miles per hour, because of its whole active arrows and whatnot, all the fancy stuff, that's pretty crazy. It's a twin-turbo V6, so those numbers alone are impressive. Now, we're going to get into a gray area a little bit because the car was tested on the same Canadian racetrack as the 458 Speciale, the McLaren 675 LT. Now, I can understand benchmarking against those cars. I kind of don't understand why they picked the 458 Speciale and not the 488 GTB. I feel like that's a more updated car that they should have pitted it against, especially since they're releasing the car in like 2018 or something. But there had to have been a reason. But anyway, they say the Ford GT lapped the track the fastest out of the three by a couple of seconds here and there. A little bit faster than the 675 LT and faster than the 458 Speciale by I think 3 seconds or something like that. But the test was done on all three cars with the same driver, and he was a Ford driver. So take from that what you will, but until someone does some real independent studies on that, I'm not going to really take that as fact. Now, the other thing I want to get into is the fact that the Ford GT will do 11 miles to the gallon city and 18 miles to the gallon on the highway with 14 combined MPG. And that's kind of scary. Kind of put it into perspective, what a lot of people are citing is the fact that the old Viper SRT 10, like from 2006, I believe, it got better gas mileage than the new Ford GT with the whole EcoBoost thing. And that had a giant V10. Same thing with the 675 LT, better gas mileage. Same thing with the 488 GTB that for some reason they didn't test it against, better gas mileage. So I don't really understand the point of the eco boosting if it's not really eco. You got the boost part, but not the eco part. And this is mainly due to the fact that there's a anti-lag system in the Ford GT that when it senses you kind of lift off for a short period of time, it still allows fuel to flow to the turbochargers, keeping them spooled up, so when you get back on the throttle, it'll be like there's no turbo lag, or there won't be any turbo lag, which is a really, really clever system, but obviously fuel economy is just getting shocked because of it. If they said it had like a supercharged V8 or something along those lines, even a turbocharged V8, they could probably get the same figures out of it, and I feel like more people would be interested in it because of the engine. It's a supercar, you gotta sell it because of the engine, and I feel like they took a weird route with it. And there's the whole other thing where they promised that it would have like the best power to weight ratio out of any production car. That was a huge claim to make in the beginning, and obviously it didn't deliver on that. 647 horsepower and it's a big bumps, and 3,300 pounds of weight to pull. I mean, it just doesn't equate. And this, I also want to bring this up too. McLaren is coming out with the 720S in March at the Geneva Motor Show, and that definitely worries me for Ford. Reason being, the 720S is going to be a lot better than the 650S that it's replacing, and in turn be better than the 675 LT. Which means if they were just neck and neck, the 675 LT and the Ford GT, then if they were just neck and neck, then the 720S is just going to be a mile above it, and plus it's going to be cheaper. And if you've seen the vehicle versions video on it, the interior is kind of sucky on the GT, and I kind of agree with him on that. So, with all that said, I hope I was able to inform you guys a little bit on the new GT that's coming out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think the Ford GT will turn into. Will it be a future classic like the 2006 version? I believe that's a future classic by any means of the definition. Will it be a future classic, or will it kind of flop like the NSX? Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to check out all the other videos I got. Try to keep you guys informed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We'll always keep you entertained, and I like to stay in tight touch with the community, so go ahead and subscribe. Like the video if you like the information that I gave you today, and as always, thanks for watching.
Of things we know.